that with regards to the fact, even with the technical issues, the enthusiasm and the excitement makes up for it. Well, speaking of enthusiasm and excitement, let's get excited then over our youngsters as they continue their racing careers. And here's your grid for round number 17 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship 2025. Josh Salvadori takes pole position, joined on the front row by Wilf Butler. It's stage of race number 1. Oliver Kerr lines up behind him, starting second, with Ollie Smith alongside in fourth. And then we have Matthew Swatton and Lewis Austin on that third row, with Matthew Swatton having a season-best qualifying performance. Max Scharfegger starts in 7th, ahead of Tom Elgar. And then we have Leon Holly and Martin Wright rounding off your top 10. Outside of that top 10, well, there's a couple other drivers there, and where you'll find on row number 6, it will be the pals of Sherry-Ann Powell and Lexi Powell, who round off that order. Now, to recap, round number 16, that was earlier today. Well, what we saw, the top 5. Wilf Butler did everything right to finish second on the road, until a 5-second post-race time penalty got applied to Josh Salvadori and demoted Salvadori down to 3rd place. It took a little bit of a bruise in there with regards to Salvadori, because he thought he'd got it all done out on circuit, but pesky track limit penalties, they do sometimes prevail, but he's got to bounce back from it in the end, and that's his plan for this one. However, with that, and Butler being promoted, so did Oliver Kerr, your independent winner. He got promoted to 2nd place for a great result, but again, in his post-race interview, saying that it's all well and good where I finished, but he wants to find out why he's not on the pace to the top 2, because he spent the most of the race watching in his front windshield the Wilf Butler versus Josh Salvadori battle, but he could never quite truly get involved in it. Meanwhile, Lewis Austin in 4th place, well, he had an absolutely brilliant performance there and made it his 2nd top 5 of the season. And well, Lewis Austin there taking the rookie win ahead of fellow rookie Ollie Smith, and that was getting very close and contentious in the closing stage, and there was plenty of excitement to behold. So with that, well, it does mean now we make our way then into this one with the big question mark of what could here, because of course, given those results, Wilf Butler now with his 6th win of the season, he's extended his championship lead a little bit further over Josh Salvadori, and well, Oliver Kerr is gradually closing down Salvadori in the battle for 2nd in the championship. So can Wilf Butler make it 2 wins out of 2 here, where it's on the road or through penalties, and extend his advantage in Park National? Well, we're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen, because the grid is set and the lights are going on. And it's lights out and away we go here for round number 17 of the championship, and it's a good start for Josh Salvadori. Gets a lightning start off the line, goes defensive and a 1 because Wilf Butler in the 2nd phase is absolutely on the attack, looking around the outside there. Further battle back there with Swatton trying to hold off a fast charging none other than Lewis Austin, but how they emerge, taking a rally cross line and re-emerge coming out of Old Hall Bend, and well, coming on down, Josh Salvadori still from Wilf Butler, and Oliver Kerr stays with him in 3rd. And they're still exchanging paint and places, and onwards they come down towards the island hairpin, and Butler again trying to make an early impression. He seems to be the fastest starter of the 2 of them in race number 1 earlier today, but the problem was in the fact that he didn't have the tyre life to sustain it, as that is Mark Scharfegger up the inside there, I believe, of Austin, and that would be for 6th place. Lovely move made there by Scharfegger to do so, and now up into see if can he go over. Well, come down from the hilltop at the highest point of the circuit on the back end, and now into the braking zone for Nickelbrook corner. And you can see there Austin taking a sneak peek up the inside of Scharfegger, but not able to get close enough. That's more of a feint, as if to say to him, I'd like to make that move if I can, and trying to put him on some mental pressure. But the mental pressure notwithstanding, as meanwhile Leon Holly, well, he has got ahead of Tom Elgar in all of the race start, and Elgar right now trying to come back there for 8th place with Wright, and then Sherry-Ann Powell ahead of Lexi Powell wrapping up the back end of the field. But all the drivers right now, they settled into the race, they settled into the rhythm, and we have seen a repeat a little bit of race number 1 earlier, which is our top 3 have pulled away, but it's notably the top 2 who are keeping each other honest. And then meanwhile Oliver Kerr just watching at the moment, and when I caught up with him in the build up to this race, he was saying to me in the fact that he's been doing a lot of analysis of the data and trying to understand. Hold up a second, comes out a second, that's going to be a move down the inside, and that is going to be, I think, Sherry-Ann Powell looking for a potential move on Martin Wright for 10th place. They're side by side coming out of the corner, and the 2025 Junior Saloon Car Championship Scholarship winner will right now under pressure from Sherry-Ann Powell. We'll see how that's ended shortly, but they were literally nose to tail as they made the way around on that lap and side by side at the end of it. But as Salvadori comes on down, what I was trying to say only moments ago is Oliver Kerr was saying to me they've looked at the data and he's very keen to understand why here he's not on the pace, because he expected Oulton Park to be his bogey circuit, but he wants to get close to these top 2. And there you can see, here comes Butler again, looking one way. Salvadori covers him off completely. But interesting as well, Salvador does love that middle of the road line coming down into the island hairpin. As all of the cars roll the way through, you can see that weight transfer and the body shell rolling and pitching around there as they go hard on the brakes from one of the high-speed sections into one of the slowest corners. And coming back to us now, it does look as though Salvador is still ahead, but now perhaps Butler's taking a different tactic in this race. I wonder whether what he's deciding this one is perhaps not try to go for the moves as early, keep the pressure on, but this time perhaps just turn it down 1 or 2% and just give himself a little bit more room to operate, because that seemed to be his undoing earlier on. He put a lot of pressure on Salvador, to be fair, and that pressure you could say attributed to Salvador picking up that post-race time penalty for track limit. The flip side of the coin, however, is I think Butler wants to get it down the road, and Salvador will know that he can't get away with it again in terms of using track limits, because he got caught out for it in race number 1. But that changes your mindset as a driver. You now know you can't run out as wide, and naturally you start to become a little bit more protective. You start to become a bit more hesitant with those lines and not expanding the corners as much as you did earlier on. So Salvador will naturally perhaps blunt his pace just by 100th here, 100th there, but what can Wilf Butler do in order to be able to react to that? That's going to be the challenge. But top three make the way on past us, and then we do see there leading rookie of Ollie Smith in fourth. Really with Smith right now, credit where it's due to him, and the fact he makes his way on through. Well, he's ahead of Swatton, Scharfegger and Austin, and whilst Austin was the rookie winner and won earlier, it's right now Smith who's putting on the show, and in good time as well, because he's in a very close title battle between himself, Max Scharfegger and also Matthew Swatton. All three of them quite close together in the rookie championship. But here comes a move, and this is a lot closer this time from Butler. Looking around the outside from right to left they go. Can he quite get it done? The answer is no. He's made to wait, but the patience there is starting to wear. I think he is starting to take the confidence there that he might be able to get this done. However, coming down now in towards the Knickerbrook section, well, particularly the Hislop chicane, Butler backing off again, and Salvador here really having to play that continual game of going as defensive as possible versus Wilf Butler. Butler just has so much more speed, particularly on the first half of the lap, and it's noticeable through Cascades. The confidence is there, plus also the run down the straights, and naturally gives him a tow. You add 2 and 2 together, it adds up to 4, or in this instance, the fact that you can close up that gap enough to be ready to try and pounce. Through they roll through Druids Bend, and as they make the way through the right-hander, well, Oliver Kerr just sitting back there. The gap to Kerr opening up a little bit more, and well, I think he's just going to be playing the waiting game, much like in race 1 here. I don't think he's quite got enough on the pace. Further in the rear of the picture, however, you can see Smith still holding Matthew Swatton at bay, and Swatton right now, well, he is chasing down what will be for him his second, well, no, in fact, yes, it would be his second top 5 of the season. He's had plenty of top 5s with Matthew Swatton. He'd like a few more before all is said and done this season, and try to squeeze onto that podium if he can. I'll double check my results sheet here. In fact, he's not had any top 5s this season. Let me correct myself, I apologise for that. And he's not had a podium either, Matthew Swatton. His best result has been 6th places, of which you saw one earlier today. Well, if he holds on to this now all the way over the race distance, the Curvesley Motorsport team will be absolutely ecstatic about the fact he'll bring home his first top 5. And I can tell you, it's going to be a very proud dad to Matthew Swatton, who is going to be jumping up and down. But from them, and talking about their story further down, the battle of the leaders definitely takes centre stage. Through the hairpin they come this time, and well, Butler, this opportunity, he's not going to go for it. He decides just to tuck in. And this is always going to play into the mind of Josh Salvador. 1 minute he's going to be thinking to himself, okay, Butler's going to try and look around the outside, so I just simply put it on the middle of the road or put it to the inside. And the next time, Butler doesn't go for it at all, so Salvador will be thinking, am I getting ahead of him and going faster, or is he now just backing off? And the mind games start to play. Oh, no! And that is coming down off of the apex there of Islops, and that is a damaged suspension. Look at the front left there of Butler, and that's what happens when you hit that apex curb too high, and with it, also hitting the tyre stack, I think, and that has completely brought Wilf Butler's race to an end. And that is a sad end to the race for the man who's the championship leader, and well, that is going to completely curb his momentum, just pushing too hard. And now for Josh Salvador, he's got what he's wanted at this point. He's still got Oliver Kerr's pressure, but he can now back off a little bit and just perhaps maintain that gap between himself and Salvador, that gap going onto this lap. Well, it was astounding in the region of the best part of 1.1 seconds, and well, that's going to be a sufficient gap as thankfully Wilf Butler is out the car, all out safe, and into the marshal's post he goes at number 17 there. And well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with regards to the extraction of that car, because that will be a damaged front left suspension, and I believe that was contact with the tyre barrier there coming through Hislops, the second part of the Hislop chicane, and was so easy to do running that close, and in the end the car coming crashing down after the impact. And well, unfortunately for Wilf Butler, it is a race that has gone wrong and too soon, because we've still got half the race distance to go, and now he'll be watching this as a spectator and hoping that Oliver Kerr can potentially get a little bit closer to Salvador and perhaps snag the win. But Salvador right now, well, all he's got to do at this point is not make any mistakes, not fall victim to the mistakes of his rivals. But that in itself, of course, can be a little bit of a mental change which you have to adjust to, which at this point now, used to having pressure on him. What does he do when he doesn't have pressure on him? It's the pressure not to be under pressure, if that makes sense. It sounds a bit contradictory, but some drivers are like that, whereby they have the ability to run very well when they're under a lot of pressure over the entire distance of a race, but as soon as you take that pressure off, their mind completely starts to blank out. Ayrton Senna was a brilliant example of this. He had to be at 100% all the time. If he wasn't, mistakes were just as likely as when he was pushing at 100%, because of the fact he'd mentally potentially switch off, or at least as I understand it. But as our drivers now continue the way through, well, with unfortunately what's happened to Wilf Butler, what it does mean is that it's Salvador who still leads, but it's Oliver Kerr now your leading driver in the independents up into second, and then it's going to be Ollie Smith currently running in third place, and well, that for Smith, if I remember correctly, will be his third podium this season. But here's the replay of what happened to Butler, and in the end, oh goodness me, just hitting the tyre stack, turned in too early there, trying to get an even better run, and well, there's only so much corner you can cut there coming through his lops, and if you cut it too hard, the tyre stack is there to teach you a lesson, and a very unfortunate lesson there for Butler. But we come back in prime time then, because this is Swatton under pressure from Scharfegger, and Scharfegger up the inside there, diving on through Old Hall corner, and that is going to be to take fourth place. Now, to be fair to Swatton, if he finishes fifth, it'll be his best result of his campaign, so therefore he won't be too upset about this. And we'll look behind, and what you'll see there, that is going to be Austin who's getting a bit closer, none other than Lewis Austin, who's trying to mount some steam. But as they make their way down towards the hairpin, with Smith currently in a very happy third place, you can see Swatton looking one way, then the other. He wants to go for it. Both drivers there, dipping the front left tyre for a brief moment onto the grass. Scharfegger goes very deep, and here comes Swatton back at him. Scharfegger making an uncharacteristic mistake, and now powering the way over the hilltop. It's going to be a drag race down, and for Swatton, he's got to believe here he can go for this in order to get fourth place back. He's got the speed. Has he got the commitment, however? Well, we'll see shortly, because there's your leader, there's your second place man, there's a third man, Smith, but there's Scharfegger still ahead of Swatton then as they come through Hislops and into Knickerbrook Corner. But Swatton is all over the back of Scharfegger like a bad rash right now, and the Kersley Motorsport machine, he is fired up, is Matthew Swatton. I think right now he is believing not just that he can get his first top 5 of the season, but he can make it a fourth place as well. He's going to have to keep believing, however, because closing up behind him, you can see there in the rear of the picture, the black and white machine of Lewis Austin, and it is getting closer and closer with every lap completed. And with 5 minutes left, we have got a tantalising fight for the first spot off of the podium, aka fourth place here, between 3 drivers who are all looking to try and hunt down what will be another top 5 finish, and with it, one of the best results of the season. But we will see soon, as we do see many of you there in our respective chats enjoying the racing all the same. And well, all the drivers right now coming on down in towards that right-hander return number 1. Is it going to be an opportunity here for Swatton to come back? No, it's not, even though Scharfegger goes a little bit deep there. He brings it back together there or thereabouts, and coming in towards turns 2 and 3 through Den Cascades. Well, right now it is going to remain as is, but Swatton's there, a big drift in from Austin. He is close, but not close enough to be able to find a way in at this time. We'll have to see what's going to happen out here, because obviously tired arms and legs are going to play. Also, track temperature is dropping with the ambient slightly. No rain whatsoever at the moment, and we're not expecting rain, but Scharfegger again, and as he does so, now he's going to have to try and build up a bit more momentum here. Well, Swatton had an opportunity on the previous lap. He didn't take it from what we could gather this time. Surely Matthew Swatton's got to be taking this a force. We will see here. They're going to be 2 wide on entry. Onto the brakes they go. Scharfegger tries to go outside to inside. And and in the end gets biffed to the grass. He'll go straight on Finn as though it's his right to return, and Matthew Swatton in the end will stay in 5th place. But now here comes Lewis Austin. Question marks about it as well. Could Scharfegger have made the corner? Was he knocked off? Well, we just saw the camera angle there. I think Scharfegger did get in a little bit of a tussle with Swatton going too wide in, but in the end decided, I think, after the tap to let the car roll to the grass there in order to avoid potentially making his way towards the tyre stack, having seen in front of him most likely what happened to Wilf Butler. So I think there for Scharfegger making the best decision on the road. However, we'll see what the stewards decide about that one in case they feel as though it was a very different one. But you can see there, Swatton right now having to go defensive versus Austin. Austin still there waiting, and right now it's almost as if Lewis Austin is doing exactly what we saw Oliver Kerr do in race number 1, which is keep watching and waiting for the two in front to battle each other hard, because they are going to start to knock time off each other. And here comes Austin. He looks slightly, headlights are now on there, and that's all going to play into the mind games. That's to say to Matthew Swatton in front of him, look at me, don't look in front, don't look at your line, don't think about your braking zones, think about me, and you'll make a mistake. And that's why I'll take my place and feel like it's a but. We will see whether he's going to have that happen or not here, as the two will be absolutely nailed on him. Further back as well, we still got that fight for 7th going on Holly and Tom Algar. We'll keep you up to date on that when we can. It's just briefly in the rear of your picture there, you will have seen, and continue to stay focused on the fight for 4th. And for these 3 drivers, this is going to be, if not a first for them, it's going to be very close to a best results of the season. Or for Matthew Swatton, it'll be his first top 5 if he can make it happen. And the Kersey Motorsport Garage, I can imagine they are going to be absolutely, I'll probably hear them from in the commentary booth, and you might even hear them on the microphone if it happens. But we will see, as we see Swatton there rolling out wide. He's under a lot of pressure right now. He's taken a wider line there through his lot chicane, and I'm not surprised. I think now this is starting to get to him a little bit. That's not to be unfair to him, but I think the reality of the situation is starting to hit him, which is he's got to hold on for one more lap after this in order to make that top 5 come true. Back up front, Salvador versus Kerr, and it is currently, in terms of the fastest lap of the race, it is in the ownership of Josh Salvador, a 1 minute 47.188 versus Kerr's 1:47.508. The last lap between the two of them, both 47.7s, and as a result, it is Salvador and Kerr matching each other on pace here. And Josh has really got the right mindset laid down at this point, which is all I need to do is make sure that Oliver does not get any closer, just manage the time. We come back to the fight, for 7th place, and here we can see 3 tenths is the gap between Holly and Algar, and it looks as though Tom Algar as close as he can get, and he did briefly pop into the YouTube chat earlier on if you're on the Bark TV YouTube channel, and well, he's holding on to that 7th place at this time, but can he get any closer? We will see. I don't think he's going to be able to here. Well, from that we do have what is this final lap still to go, and with it what can go, we will have to find out very shortly as the drivers roll the way through, and it's going to be very close here as Matthew Swatton still tries to hold on for his first top 5 of the season. Can he do it? Indeed, he's fallen short a number of times. He's had many a 6th place, but here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. If he can make it happen, he's got Lewis Austin close behind him still, but looking from the battle for 4th to the leaders here, and Josh Salvador right now not too far away from bringing on home what will be his 4th win of the season here, ahead of Oliver Kerr, who will take another podium and make it 10 podiums this season, and well, just 1 behind Josh Salvador, 2 behind Wilf Butler, who unfortunately in the end his lop chicane deciding that his race was to go no further after contact with the tyre barrier. But our Citroen drivers made the way then in towards the final corner. And race number 1, it was Josh Salvador who won on the road, but he was denied victory due to track limits and a post-race time penalty. But there's no such woe here. He held off the charge of Wilf Butler. He's kept over in track limits, and for Josh Salvador, victory will come to him in round number 17 of the JSCC. What a drive from him. The team are absolutely over the moon. Oliver Kerr will take the independence win in 2nd place there with an absolutely faultless drive. And then it will be 3rd place that goes the way to Ollie Smith, the winning rookie driver, ahead of Max Scharfegger, and Matthew Swatton does it. He takes his first top 5 of the season there with 5th place ahead of Lewis Austin. That's your top 6, and then we do have the fight for 7th. Will it go to Leon Holly? Will it go to Tom Algar? It goes to Leon Holly in the end, and Holly brings on home 7th ahead of Algar in 8th, and then we've got a bit of a gap before we do get to Sherry-Ann Powell and also Lexi Powell, and of course lastly, but he's in the pit lane and I believe there was an issue with the car, Martin Wright it in the end, as we do then see Sherian Powell taking that 9th place, and we do have to wait now the best part of another 50 seconds or so before we do see Lexi Powell wrap up the finishing order on. But goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, an absolutely brilliant race there. And with one thing about the JSCC, we always like to say, no matter how many drivers are out there on circuit, they will always deliver plenty of action and excitement, and we saw that here in their 17th round of drive. And well, as we do get those race results ready to appear on screen shortly, I believe we are just waiting for the tick over from the timing system for Wilf. We do have Lexi Powell finished the race essentially, and at the moment hasn't come quite through. Well, the story of this race, no doubt about it, Josh put under huge pressure from Wilf Butler lap after lap, much like race number 1 earlier today. But the difference here was that Wilf Butler, by pushing so hard, pressured himself into a mistake, and in the end the Hislop chicane caught him. But here are the race results, subject to any stewards' inquiries, and Josh Salvador, your winner there by 1.6 seconds over Oliver Kerr. Oliver Kerr taking the independence win there in a very well-driven drive. It was then Ollie Smith who finished in 3rd place and did an absolutely fantastic job and took the rookie win with it, with Max Scharfegger there in 4th place. Mr. 4th place continues again there, a nickname I think he wants to shrug off at some point, but 4th finds him, and he was 6 tenths ahead of Matthew Swatton, who takes his first ever top 5 of the season with a 5th place, and it was chased by Lewis Austin. Then Lewis Austin huffed and he puffed, but he couldn't quite blow down the aspirations of Swatton. Leon Holly was 7th in a great race-long battle with Tom Algar, and then Sherian Powell and Lexi Powell wrapped up your top 10 with a premature trip to the pits of Martin Wright, and it will be Wilf Butler, the sole retiree from the race, at least due to an incident. And well, unfortunately for the championship leader, he's not able to extend his championship lead as much as he would have liked to today, or at least balanced it out, and that will keep things interesting because we've still got the best part of another 10 rounds of the championship to go, and you can continue to follow the story of the Junior Saloon Car Championship, and that will be continued at Donington Park National Circuit on Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th of August for rounds 18 through to 20. But as all the drivers gradually make the way into the pit lane, I do believe we might be able to very shortly get a word from our top 3 finishers there and hear the story, and who knows, perhaps we'll even get a word from Matthew Swatton about his first ever top 5 finish, because I look over my shoulder towards Parc Ferme, I can tell you the Kersley Motorsport team are all there right now getting ready to celebrate their hero. But without further ado, I believe we're going to go down to Jack Oliphant there for post-race interviews with our JSCC drivers.
Junior Saloon Car Championship, last race of the day for them, penultimate race overall, but what a race it was. It makes you really want to think, I wish Oulton Park could run over 2 days. I hope everybody else thinks like that, because it was epic. And Josh Salvador, I've got 3 drivers I want to chat to. One of them is Josh. We spoke to him after race 1, but I don't think he was in particularly best of moods. He took the checkered flag in first place on the road. 5-second penalty meant he got demoted down to 3rd. In his interview, he didn't even take his helmet off. He must be in a better mood, because this time he has taken his helmet off straight away, and I can see a big smile on his face. Josh, that was, I mean, from your perspective, you held off Wilf for so long, and then when you got that gap, you managed to maintain it, didn't you? What a race.
Yeah, it means so much to me and the team. It's just, all the hard work behind the scenes to put in, and the results pay off.
Well, I saw you come in, driving in then, you were banging the wheel. There was such a relief, wasn't there, in you? And even the people on the side of the fence there were beaming for you. I mean, how much does it mean for you and everybody else?
Well, I think the main thing is I didn't touch one sensor, which is really good. But yeah, it's good.
Lesson learnt, then, you would say.
Yeah, just try and keep it clean, and that's what you've got to try and do.
You do, and you did it expertly as well, and obviously we don't wish that anybody would come off in the way that Wilf did, but for championship points-wise, it's a great step for you and Oliver Kerr.
Yeah, but, the main thing is, I hope he's okay. I didn't really see what happened. I just saw that he wasn't in my mirror anymore, but just at this point, just trying to think about a championship and take every race as it comes.
Yeah, he connected with the tyres, but we saw him walking out of the car, so he is okay, and hopefully we'll get a better word on that a little later on. Josh Salvador, congratulations on a race win, 2 podium positions, there's nothing to be sniffed at. Right, okay, we had a chat to Oliver Kerr previously, so congratulations, Oliver, but we're going to move on if that's okay. Because, as I said, I've got 3 drivers. Ollie Smith is another one. Ollie, you are the top rookie driver in the championship. And I believe that is one of your first podiums in this. Is that what Paul Walsh was saying? I overheard. Is that true?
I had 2 podiums at Silverstone.
Then it's clearly not true. Well, congratulations on the podium here at Oulton Park, though. Top rookie and a top drive here. That was pretty epic. How did it feel?
Yeah, it was really good, to be honest. I got a decent start, got my head down, and just got into a rhythm, and just drove away from the guys behind. Fortunately, Wilf had an accident and went off, and P3 kind of got gifted to me, really.
It did a little bit, but you still have to be in the situation to receive that and
Yeah.
obviously come across the line and complete it. So what's the next step for you as a rookie? What each week are you finding that you're learning in this car and obviously in your driving? Because you're only young, you've got a lot to learn. Each week, how are you implementing what you've learned before?
Really, it's just setup. Just changing the setup, making it a bit more loose on the back, move it around a bit more. That's really it, to be honest. And just getting comfortable in the car is the main thing.
Absolutely right, fantastic. Thank you very much for having a chat to us. Great podium from yourself. And the last person I want to chat to is our first top 5. Got a lot of TV time. Paul Walsh was absolutely loving it. It's Matthew Swatton. Now, Matthew Swatton, I cannot find him, so I'm just going to double check whether we... I've been given the okay to keep going. Have we got a Matthew Swatton? I'm trying to point and command without shouting into the mic. Other people, there we go. We want to chat to you.
Hello.
Because Swatton, that was, first top 5. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
First top 5.
that's epic. You've got a big beaming smile on your face. How much does that mean to you?
It means a lot, you know. Well, ever since Silverstone, when it didn't really go our way, it's just the turnaround's been amazing. I can't thank Cursley enough. They've done an amazing job.
Was that the team then helping you get back on track, getting the car set up and everything like that, and helping you understand how to drive it a bit better?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like that with my drive coach Ash Miller. Shout out to him. He's a legend. But yeah, just giving good feedback as well, because at the end of the day that helps. So yeah, and honestly, this wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to do this without my sponsors. So thank you to those guys and everyone who supports me. It means a lot.
I was literally about to say that very quickly. Could you give a shout out to your sponsors, because they deserve it? There you go. Talk out. Right, fantastic, Matthew Swatton. I've been told that I have to run away and throw back to the next and final race, but congratulations on your first top 5.
Thank you, mate.
Right, speaking of that final top race, everybody loved it earlier on when the Scottish Mini Cup, Cooper Cup I should say actually, took the Oulton Park. Well, you're about to see it for the second time, so please don't turn this off, because it is potentially the best race of the day so far earlier on. They could repeat the fact. Over to you, Paul Walsh.
Well, before we get to that, here's some highlights of our Junior Saloon Car Championship round number 17 only moments ago. It opened up with a brilliant battle towards the rear of the field between Martin Wright and Sherry Ann Powell. But at the front of the field, it was the absolute intense fight between Josh Salvadori and Wilf Butler. Butler hustled around the outside multiple times at the island hairpin. He looked strong enough, but here in a slow motion replay you get to see where it all went wrong for Wilf Butler. Too aggressive into Hislop's hairpin, into Hislop's chicane, and in the end hitting the tyre stack and damaging the front left suspension, and that was the end of his journey to try and make it at least back-to-back podiums, if not take back-to-back wins. He retired from the race, and suddenly everything opened up, and with his retirement we got to see Josh Salvadori gradually pulling through, and we didn't catch this, and this was Lexi Powell ended up going sideways there, and I think getting it completely wrong coming out of Knickerbrook Corner. Flip side of the coin, with the retirement for Wilf Butler, suddenly it was an opportunity for Matthew Swatton to go fighting for 4th place, and he tried to do so as best as possible versus Max Scharfegger, knowing a first top 5 of the season was on the line for him. They went side by side here on through his lots, but a bit of contact since Max Scharfegger to the grass, and he decided to carry on there and hold on to 4th place, feeling as though that he was pushed aside. However, that's debatable between drivers, but that comes down to stewarding afterwards as we see the alternative camera angle there. In fact, no contact. Well, very glad we got to see that angle, and in the end, Scharfegger, I think, cutting out, because otherwise worrying he'd hit the tyre barrier. So that's good to know. In terms of we thought there was contact, but there wasn't in the end, at least what we could see.